Hi, everyone, and welcome to the HeartSet podcast, the private podcast where the host changes and the guest stays the same. I'm Kim, your host for this episode. Today, we're discussing the pain of perceived lack. And now I'd like to introduce our sponsor and resident guest, Ramona Galey. Ramona helps self-starters reclaim their brilliance and leverage their personal assets into success, even when they don't think they have any personal assets. Ramona is passionate about empowering people to focus on what they want, and she is the founder of HeartSet Academy and the Alignment Circle. You can see her full bio in the comments. Welcome, Ramona. I am so happy to be here with you today discussing this topic.
Thanks, Kim. I'm so glad to be here with you. Thank you for joining me. And I'm excited about this topic. So, yeah, let's get going with it. I can't wait.
Yeah, it's very interesting. So, what is all this pain of perceived lack? Tell me about that.
The pain of perceived lack. Such a great question and such a great topic. So, every subject is the subject and then the lack of it. And really it's just the perceived lack of it, because if you could be standing there looking right at something. Let's say it's something in a store and you can't afford it. You don't have enough money for it. So you're looking right at it, but what you're focusing on is the lack of it, right? So you're just saying, "Oh, I can't have that. I can't afford that." You could say all sorts of like horrible things about it, right? Or you could just sit there and say, "I love this thing. It's so pretty. It's so beautiful." With If you don't have any perceived lack about it, then you're just going to appreciate it. But as soon as you have any perceived lack about it, like "I can't have it," or "I'm too old," or "I'm too young," or "I'm too short," or "I'm too tall," or whatever it is, then you're perceiving the lack of it. And that's actually what you're focusing on, even though it is still there. It's right there in front of you. Everything you can focus on, it's right there, but you might be focusing on the lack of it. So that's how I think of the pain of perceived lack. A lot of people call it yearning. A lot of people think you can't want anything without it hurting. So that's like, in other words, like a pop song, right? "I want her so bad, but she's with my best friend," or "I want this truck, this truck just got ruined in a car accident." Whatever it is, like I want, and I'm yearning for it because I believe I can't have it in some way. There's some limiting belief. That's pain. That's not desire. The desire feels fantastic, feels really good. So that's where I see the pain of perceived lack. That's where I'm interpreting that particular phrase.
Okay. So the pain of perceived lack is something about desire versus longing.
Yes,
So
longing is a really good word.
the pain comes in when we're longing. Is that correct?
Yeah. That's one way that it can come in.
Mm-hmm.
Anytime, if you've just said, "Well, I'm not going to," let's say I've quit smoking. So I'm really not, I decided, so I'm not really longing for it anymore,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm having habitual cravings for it, maybe. Or maybe I'm really missing going out with my friends or having something to do with my hands. So there are different aspects to it, but that pain of perceived, I'm going to go on a limb here and say that all pain is the pain of perceived lack. Every kind of pain you could possibly
Oh.
think of, it's because we want something that we think we can't have it, or we don't have it yet. So we're focusing on the lack of it. Even if we
Hmm.
think we can have it and deserve it and should have it any second now, if we don't have it
Mm-hmm.
and we're upset about that, we're still focusing on the lack. And, we've talked about authenticity before. To me, this is the cornerstone of authenticity, because as we feel into ourselves and who we truly are, there is no lack. So authenticity, not honesty, if you remember from our
Mm-hmm.
last conversation about this, and for our listeners, if you haven't heard this yet, go and listen. A really great conversation we had about authenticity. And it's not about honesty. It's about the ability to be seen, even to ourselves, like even for ourselves to see ourselves. Right. So we can go a little bit deeper maybe into authenticity than we did before. So, and this is a crux of what I do all day long. This is what I help people with. So, they might come into the service saying, "Well, I want to learn how to meditate," or "I want to make more money," or "I want that particular person, for my romantic partner, and it's not working out yet," or "I have a spouse and we used to get along great and now we don't." So there's all these different life circumstances that can present for any of us, for all of us as humans, to say, well, this is really what I want. But the bottom line of what you want is the pain of, the bottom line of what you're experiencing is the pain of perceived lack. And the bottom line solution, that this is the bread and butter of what I teach all day long, is authenticity. And remember, that's not like honesty, it is the connection inside. When I'm really completely aligned with who I am inside, which means getting in touch with source. This is my opinion. I guess there's some atheists out
Mm-hmm.
there that maybe would disagree with me. But to me, it's all about getting reconnected to who we truly are, the non-physical and the physical part of us together. When we do that in a way that allows the unconditional love of, you can call it Mother Earth, or source, God, Allah, whatever you want to call it,
Mm-hmm.
when that love comes in a way that you can feel it, it's always coming in, whether we know it or not. But when it comes
Right.
in a way that we can feel it, then everything's on the table. Everything we want is back on the table. If you're an entrepreneur and you want to make videos, if you want to start a business, but you're being told you have to make videos, and you think, oh my gosh, I can't make videos. I can't. I don't like the way I look, or I don't like the way I sound, or nobody's going to listen to me, or my voice is too this or too that, or my hair is too this or too that, or whatever it is. So that authenticity gives us that foundation. It gives us the foundation to be, do, or have anything we want. Without that foundation, it's a trite saying. You could be, do, or have anything you want. Well, try saying that to somebody who's in prison right now, or who's in sixth grade and is in an abusive situation. There are a lot of circumstances where we're going to tell ourselves, I cannot be, do, or have anything I want. I can't do it. I can't do it. I can't have it. And there's the pain of perceived lack. And I'm going to say, even to that person in prison, or even to that sixth grader who's in the abusive situation, you, all of you, not just the little bit of you that you can see in the mirror, but the all of you really can be, do, or have anything you want. And that means becoming it vibrationally first. And there's the authenticity again. And then your world starts to change in ways that you could have never imagined. So it's not about you saying, okay, I see I'm right here and I want to be right there. And so I'm going to be, do, or have, all the way over to there. It's not like that. I'm going to
Mm-hmm.
be, do, or have what I want. And I'm going to sit here and I'm going to be it. And I'm going to be it. And I'm going to pull in all my resources, and I'll give you the resources. I'll teach it to you. There's skills, there's resources, all kinds of great ways to do this. But once you are in full alignment with who you are, now you can be seen. You can be seen. I don't mean just visually. I mean
Mm-hmm.
be seen. That means you can be yourself without apology. You can stand up for yourself when somebody's bullying you. You can ask for what you want when you see it, when you've identified it. If you don't know, then fine. But once you know what you want, you can ask for it.
Mm-hmm.
You can say, I'd like that, please, or I'd like more, please. These are like kind of in our culturally, reference things where people have said, well, I don't deserve it, or I too poor, or whatever it is. So that authenticity, that's it. That's it. That's the antidote to this pain of perceived lack. And I still reiterate, the pain of is always the pain of perceived lack. It doesn't matter what you're hurting about. You want something different and you think you can't have it, and that's why it hurts.
So
That's
that
why.
really is the whole thing. That's all yeah, that's,
Yep.
and to get past that pain, or to have and be and do what we want, is the connection with source. So
Absolutely.
um do you have any tips just to try to get that, how to achieve that?
Yeah.
Some
Practice
techniques
being
maybe?
Yeah, so practice being yourself. This is what I would say to anybody who wants to just
Mm-hmm.
dabble in this or get some momentum going.
Mm-hmm.
Practice being yourself. And of course, I'm famous for saying, in light, easy ways, pick easy subjects. Practice
Mm-hmm.
being yourself, with a dog. Dogs are very unconditional loving, right? So they're the best stand-in we've got on the physical plane for most of us, of unconditional love, the unconditional love of source. So so when you're playing with the dog and you usually, throw the ball, then try not throwing the ball, or just throw it the other direction, or throw a different thing other than the ball. Like seriously, just play, make play out of it, be very lighthearted about it, and practice asking for what you want. Practice being who you are in spite of whatever in other words, we have the peanut gallery, right? We all have a peanut gallery, whether
Right.
it's our teachers or our parents or our spouse or our
Mhm.
kids or our friends or whoever it is. Unless we live on the top of a mountain in the middle of nowhere, which I'm familiar with, then we have, even online, typically we still have a peanut gallery, and they've all got opinions. And most of the time they just care about us and they want to tell us how we should do so that we'd be, feel better, whatever's going on, right? They have advice for us.
Mhm.
And so get away from the peanut gallery as much as you can. Dogs and cats and horses and cows are great. Trees are really great. Try cutting a tree. Try just trimming a tree. Talk to the tree a little bit. Feel a simpatico with it and tell it, I'm gonna trim your limbs. I think you'll feel better in the long run. And I'm doing it because I want to be able to see this view. And so I'm gonna just trim your limb, and then do it and see what that feels like. See if you actually feel a response from the tree. Like as we're getting in touch with ourselves, there's infinite like ways that you can do this. And the best way is to feel into yourself or get someone who really knows you well to feel in with you and think of some ways that are lighthearted, that are fun, where you can genuinely feel, I don't mean pretend feel, genuinely feel like there's nothing serious going on here. There's
Mhm.
no dire consequences if I fail. Most of us have a fear of
Mhm.
failing.
Mhm.
And just practice on easy stuff and start getting in touch with what you want. What do you want? What do you say to myself, what do I want? Between this and this choice, for example, which one do I want? Yeah, I want this one. It was a close call, but this one's speaking to me. And then choose it. That is almost an act of rebellion in our rule controlled society
Mhm.
amongst our peanut gallery,
Mhm.
cohorts. When we pick something different from usual, you know? And so getting used to that and being okay with it, that's the
Mhm.
crux of the whole thing. That's authenticity right there. Now I'm starting to be able to be myself regardless of the opinions of others, regardless of the rules that have been handed down, regardless of this recipe card. I'm going to add a dash of cinnamon. Don't try to stop me. I'm going to do it. You rebel, you. So those are all, just a tip
Yeah.
of the iceberg
Yeah.
ideas of things you can do to
Sure.
increase your sense of authenticity, which will have a inverse effect as that goes up. The pain of perceived the what's it called? The
Pain
pain
of
of perceived
perceived
lack
lack.
goes
Mhm.
down. Authenticity goes up,
Ah,
lack goes down. Pain goes
okay.
down. Authenticity goes up. Everything unwanted goes down. Everything
That's
unwanted goes down as authenticity goes up.
that's
Completely.
amazing. That's really
Yeah.
cool. That's really, really neat. Um,
Yeah.
and so you've worked with lots of clients. Can you kind of give us some examples of how that works out with people?
Yes, absolutely. What comes to mind is a client, a long term client, a private client in this case, but this comes up in the group also. And this person was concerned about not doing things that they were expected to do, and how to get out of that, whether she even like deserved to get out of it, what would happen if she got out of it, what it mean, for her identity, for her relationships, for her future, for her finances. There were a lot of things to consider about some of these things that she didn't want to do anymore. And so Oprah had told her to let them down, because she was concerned. How can I do this? How can I? Well, let them down. I'm afraid of letting them down. Well, okay, then let them down. Yeah, but I can't let them down. Well, why don't you let them down? It was like, let's just get used to the concept first. Let's just repeat
Uh-huh.
the words over and over a couple of times. And then, but let them down, let them down. Oh my gosh. So then she started figuring out ways to let them down easy, some way to soften or ameliorate,
Mhm.
her decision or whatever. And their advice it was a little bit shocking at the time to her, not to me, but it was very clear. Let them down hard. This is your assignment, your homework. They almost never give homework. I mean, like they never give homework.
Mhm.
Every
Mhm.
once in a while, if you really need it, they'll give you a little bit of an assignment. That's it. But yeah, let them down hard. Let them down hard. Like just
Wow.
let them down. Like just like a
Uh-huh.
let it go. Just rip that band-aid off. Just go for it. And she did. She
Oh.
did.
Mhm.
And it was a game changer for her. It was a game changer for her, for everything about her, for her self-identity, for
Mhm.
her relationships, for her, just her place in the world. Her authenticity went sky high. It went sky high just by being willing to stand there and say, okay, I deserve to make my own decisions. It's just as simple as I deserve to feel good. And
Wow.
if doing what you want doesn't feel good, well, then maybe you feel good, maybe not. A lot of times people think that they're going to feel better if they can get us to do what they want, but
Yeah.
that's not really what they want. They want their own
Mhm.
authenticity, is what they
Mhm.
want.
Mhm.
But so if I say, if I do this thing for you, then maybe you'll feel good, but then I don't feel good. Well, how is that any kind of that's not even a trade off. That's just a kicking the can of
Yeah.
inauthenticity down the road, right?
Yes.
So
Yeah.
once we get back into right here, right now, think of any baby. There's not a baby in the world that would say, okay, never mind, you go ahead and eat, I'll wait. No, feed me now.
No way.
And I'm halfway finished, and now you need to empty me on the other end. Now, not an hour from now, not a day from now, right
Yes.
now.
Right
Like I know
now.
exactly what I want when I'm an infant and even a
Mhm.
toddler. Toddlers know exactly what they want, even if they don't understand, a lot of the stuff about it, or how, they're get wrapped up in how they're going to get it
Yeah.
or all that
Yeah.
stuff. Like, don't touch me like that, or I want some ice cream, or,
Right.
I'm hungry, I'm tired. They may not be able to say it. They frequently can't say it if they're toddlers, but
Mhm.
they know, their body knows, their entire
Mhm.
being really knows. And so we can take a huge page out of that. I think that's another really great way to get in touch with our own authenticity, is spend a little time,
Mhm.
if you haven't done so recently, or even if you haven't really paid attention, spend some time with children that are young enough, that
Mhm.
haven't been
Mhm.
conditioned away from what it is they really like.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's it. That is the crux of everything. It's what I help people with, and people get huge breakthroughs, and it's all built on this particular
Mhm.
foundation. And unfortunately, it's a skill and an attitude that's not really taught too many other places, or maybe any other
Mhm.
places. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's very effective, and it's exactly what we need. It's what we deserve. We're asking for it, but we also deserve it. Like,
Right.
seriously.
Right. What do you
Yeah.
think keeps us from pursuing that and asking for it and getting it?
The peanut gallery.
Yeah.
We put so much emphasis on the opinions of others,
Mhm.
and understandably so. Our
Yeah.
survival depends on people cooperating with us, if not liking us.
Mhm.
And I was thinking just the other day, this whole thing about the sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will
Yeah.
never hurt me. And so we've gotten so much to the point, just in my lifetime, I've seen our entire culture go from, everybody knew that phrase. And so if somebody was
Mhm.
calling you names, the first thing was to learn how to ignore them. The teacher would try to get them to stop too, but it wasn't their fault. It was kind of like our fault for letting it bother us,
Mm.
which you
Mhm.
could say, well, let's blame the victim or whatever. But I mean, it worked very well in a lot of ways. We've gone all the way from there, all the way to, if somebody says something that hurts my feelings, this concept that they have truly damaged me, this concept does not serve us at all. The idea
Ah.
that somebody can actually damage me by saying something or thinking
Mhm.
something or
Mhm.
feeling something,
Yeah.
I mean,
Right.
we got to let go of that. That's like what, that care about the peanut gallery and what they think about
Mhm.
us keeps
Mhm.
us from being our authentic selves, our connected selves.
Yes.
And guess what? That's where all our power is. It's in our
Mhm.
authenticity.
Yeah.
That's where all of our power is. It's like we're trying to get leverage on something, but we're out of a line. We're out of
Yeah.
the direct line. Like, if you
Mhm.
can imagine trying to pry something up, like a seesaw, and you're trying
Mhm.
to lever something really heavy up with a longboard. If you're not at the right angle, you can't do
Yeah.
it. Doesn't matter how strong you are. And so
Right.
that leverage is
Mhm.
another big aspect of what I'm teaching all the time.
Mhm.
Leverage what you want into what you want. In other words, leverage your desires into everything you want coming to you. Now, that takes a
Okay.
straight line. It takes a straight alignment to be able to do that.
Okay.
It's not sitting around going, "Oh, if only I had, $1 million, then all
Uh-huh.
my problems would be solved." No. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, first of all,
Mm-hmm.
that's a focus on problems and the lack of the money. But
I
even
know.
beyond all
Yeah.
that,
Right. Right. Right.
when you're in alignment, then and you're in your authenticity, then you've got this direct line to your desire. When you have that direct line to your desire, it doesn't matter what it is, it doesn't matter how far away it is, it doesn't matter how big it is. It becomes, and then it turns around and it looks right at you and it calls to you. And when you can feel that, when you can feel that pull, and you can feel almost like that straight line between here and we talk a lot about there's not linear and straight lines and stuff, but when a
Right.
desire is pulling at you,
Mm-hmm.
I
Mm-hmm.
like to call it the wild horses feeling. Wild
Mm-hmm.
horses couldn't stop me from doing that. And I've had that feeling often enough that I recognize it and I really
Mm-hmm.
value it. And that's again part of what I'm teaching to people. This tendency to just do whatever because somebody thinks we should. That's
Mm-hmm.
that peanut gallery again. And most of us humans spend a good bit of our lives living like that.
That's
We've
true.
got to come back to center. It's the
Mm-hmm.
secret to everything. Everything.
Wow. That's amazing. That's so true. So true. Yes. Wow. That's great. Thank you so much. That is perfect. I think that certainly for me, that's been uh, the turning point really in everything. So
Very good.
yeah. Yeah.
Very good.
Great.
Did you want
Thank
to
you
talk
so
any about
much.
that?
I just feel like, a lot of times I've looked at the peanut gallery. I've, looked everywhere except right at my desire.
Yeah.
And I love the way you express that your desire turns around and calls to you. That's very, it appeals to me emotionally and thinking wise,
Yeah. It resonates. Is that
mentally.
what you're
It
saying? It
resonates.
resonates.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's very evocative and it's very resonant. So
Yeah.
yeah. Yes.
Very cool.
Thank you for that.
You're very
Beautiful.
welcome. Thank you.
Yes.
Beautiful. Any other questions about it?
I think I think I think I'm satisfied with that. How about you?
Okay. Yeah, absolutely. It's been a great conversation. Thank you
Yes.
so much. I'm
So
just really
helpful.
enjoying this this
Hmm.
this way that we're with that so many of us are having these conversations. And yeah, thank you.
Yeah, it's a really fun way to talk about things. I love it. It's very
It
neat.
is. Well,
Thanks
and
for
you
letting me be a
bring
part of it.
absolutely. Well, I was just going to say you bring such a special and unique and perfect perspective in your questions, in your experience, in your
Hmm.
summoning,
Hmm.
and I feel that. And so thank you so much. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.